Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Sigval here, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do the top 6 damage dealers. I'm also going to present you some budget options before the number 1. And while I don't really care for this list, how hard it is to get and gear up that specific character, I'm going to do it for the free-to-play side of things. That meaning you don't require to have any pay-to-win artifact for this list to be accurate. However, I will do mention for certain characters and certain teams if they're gonna be better with the beta club and where differently they're going to score. So yeah, well, that being said, I'm also not gonna give Raven to anybody, because the problem is with Raven, the number 1 team and the number 2 team are gonna be the only teams that have, for the free-to-play side of things at the very least, a very good synergy with Raven, and they're gonna at peak performance do 2 billion damage without Raven anyway. So putting Raven in there would be kind of pointless, and you can put Raven wherever, and it will matter, but it kind of matters the same for the teams that are on the list to the point where it doesn't change their place. So yeah, let's get into it. Coming in at number 6, we have Batman Ninja Catwoman, a very reliable damage dealer. She's not gonna deal damage because of herself, but she's gonna deal damage because of Robin. That gives her lethal attack damage, but she's the best character to take advantage of Robin himself. She's going to be able to stack a lot of lethal attack damage with the special 2 and also make herself unkillable, basically, because this heals her, and the 9 lives is going to not let her die at any point. She's a very new player friendly character to play to an extent, but at the same time she's a bit hard to get and hard to gear up. And this list is ranked kind of on the versatility of the characters, and she's very versatile, but mainly on the raw damage output. Because at the end of the day, with very few exceptions, you're going to be able to use any team anywhere. With a few exceptions, of course. So yeah, I think number 6 is a solid and good spot for this team. And keep in mind, we have a decent amount of damage that isn't just to mobile. Number 6 is not bad. Number 6 is absolutely insane because it means at peak performance of your account as free to play at the very least, you're never gonna cycle her so far out of the teams. Coming in at number 5, we have a Manta. And look, I'm talking about a maxed out Manta. Because Manta is going to be a character that will be quite reliant on the star rating, and you kind of need him at the very least at 5 to 6 stars for him to perform well, but he's one of the most versatile characters in the game. This man is the cleanup dude for me. Like, whenever there's a fight that has some health left, this man will get in there and get the job done. I almost never use this man to deal high damage. I always use him to finish fights, and he has never disappointed me in that regard. He might be the most versatile character in the game, except for the last life Joker fight in Dawn of Apocalypse and the Rise of Krypton boss collector vs Superman. There's no fight in the entire game where this man is not gonna be able to get in there and do a decent job. And the damage that he's able to pull is also quite decent. So yeah, let's move on. I'm also gonna briefly mention Joker. He's not gonna have a separate spot on the list because I'm going to use Harley Quinn for that, and she's gonna be the thing that you should be using with League of Anarchy if you do have her. But if you don't have her, Last of Joker is going to do a decent job at replacing her, and I think he's gonna be as good as Manta. Now, because of this passive over here that is going to give him more damage for each target that dies, it's gonna be far more useful in specific situations where the bosses are going to have certain summons that you can take advantage of and get more damage from here. And at the same time, in soul raids where you can use efficiently Nora Snow Globe, that being on ice soul raids because you're gonna use it for passive stats anyway, and you can get some clones killed, and also being in Dawn of Apocalypse because the passive stats don't split anyway. So Joker is a reasonable alternative if you don't have Harley. He will deal a decent amount of damage, and he's actually justifiable to pair up with Raven because he's going to not reach that 2 billion cap without Raven. So if you have Joker, EPI, and Raven, most likely it's going to be the best team in your account. Just wanted to briefly mention that. Coming in at number 4, we have Kim Flan Sakuman. And there's going to be a little bit of a differentiation made between him and Deathstroke, because both of them are going to function the same way, in terms of dealing percentage health damage with a certain special and then using Nora Snow Globe to get yourself killed, because the percentage health damage over here is going to be a part of an ability, so it's going to easily be able to be transferred to the clones. So you're going to do this 3 times with him and 3 times with each of the 2 clones. So you're going to need to play it a little bit safe, a little bit careful, a little bit good for that to happen specifically. But you have the possibility of dealing a lot of damage. And this can be done against most of the bosses. This might not seem amazing in the lower tiers of soul rate, but at that point when you're in tier 1 or tier 2, you most likely don't have many teams anyway. And this man is gonna do a decent amount of damage regardless because of this building damage passive. But when you really get to exploit the percentage health damage, it's when you're fighting 2 billion health fights, and this man is able to reliably do 1.3 billion. Now, why is he ranked lower than Deathstroke? Because we're gonna talk about Deathstroke afterwards. Is because he is the only character in the game, except for League Rates. In League Rates, it affects more characters. But he's the only character in the game that hits the damage cap. So what is the damage cap? The damage cap is going to be the thing that says its resistance to damage higher than a certain percentage of the health. It's a passive that some bosses have. And that is 3%. So for example, you're going to use a third special Conflant Sakomen. That's going to be dealing 10% of the enemy's current health, but is going to deal only 3% of the enemy's current health because the damage cap is going to hit you. Now, every single percentage health damage dealer in the game, except for Conflant Sakomen, is going to have an ability to bypass that, but he doesn't. So if you're fighting a fight that doesn't have a damage cap, you're going to do as good as Deathstroke. If you're fighting a fight that has a damage cap, you're going to do worse than Deathstroke. Also, some honorable mentions alongside Conflant Sakomen. I'm not going to put Batman for Life separately because he's going to be introduced in one of the teams that's going to be far higher on this list. But if somehow you don't have Batwoman the Drowned, but you do have Batman Who Laughs, you can separately use him because, yet again, percentage health damage. And it's gonna be very, very good in terms of that. And he's going to be better than Conflant Sakomen because he can bypass the damage cap, but worse than him because he can't use Nora Snow Globe. Because this is a passive that activates this. Nora Snow Globe is going to transfer to the clones all of the abilities and the effects of the abilities, but the passives are going to stay with the base character and they're not going to transfer. So this is the best he can do. 36% health damage per battle. Yet again, he's going to be in a far higher team on this list, and he's going to be by far overshadowed by the other damage dealer on that team, but I thought I would mention it. Though it's quite unlikely to have Batman Collapse and no Batwoman the Drown. Maybe there's somebody out there who needs to hear this, you know? And also in kind of the same situation we have the Tana, because the Tana is always going to be used as a support character for the most part. Because so far she's not strong enough to be a damage dealer herself, and she can basically deal most of her damage quite fast and also benefit a team while she's doing it. You usually pair her up with League of Anarchy if you're not using Raven there, and you can use her alone. That's the mention because she yet again does percentage health damage. So if you don't have 6 teams yet and you have Zatanna somehow, you can use her as a damage dealer herself because she's got percentage health damage that can bypass the damage cap, and she's also good with that. I don't think she deserves a separate spot because her main role currently, though it might change in the future, is to be a support character rather than a damage dealer herself. But yet again, worth mentioning. Coming in at number 3, we have Deathstroke, and this man is, in one word, I mean, I think it's more than one word, but it's like one number, so I guess it will pass. This is the 1,450,000,000 man. This is kind of the peak performance you're going to be able to get out of him if you have Nora Snow Globe equipped and you get the most out of your clones. That's how much he's going to do out of a 2 billion health fights. And it's as simple as that. He bypasses damage cap, he's going to heal himself while he's in there, so it's kind of impossible for you to get killed. And the clones are going to do fine for the most part. The special 2 is quite cheap, though you're going to need to do more of them than you do with Conflant Sakomen clones. And this one is going to do to be at 97% efficiency at 3-star compared to if he was at higher star rating, because the only thing you're going to get out of higher star rating is a bit more power generation, which is good, and longer debuffs, which you don't really care about, because the only thing you care about is going to be the second ability of his, which is the thing that deals percentage shell damage, and for that to be maxed out, you only need levels. you don't care about star rating, and that's why I also love him. But he's gonna be a solid and reliable damage dealer, more reliable than Kim Flan Sakuman because he does not get affected by damage cap and he benefits from clones from Nora Snowglobe. But yeah, let's move on. Heartbreaker Harley Quinn, she stuns targets and she deals damage. You need to pair her up with DPI, by the way. That goes the same for Last Up Joker, and I guess it goes the same for the Batman Ninja team that you need Robin in there for them to deal damage. If you don't have that, you don't have a team, basically. But if you do have Entangling Poison Ivy, she's gonna be one of the best damage dealers in the game. Some people would argue the best emissions in the game. I'm gonna say we can't tell for sure because there's simply not enough health to make the comparison between the first team ranked here and this team. But we're going to put her at second place just to be safe. So how does this work? She's going to have a passive that allows her to deal so much more damage against stun targets. Now, this alone is not great, and if you're going to try to pair her up with characters that are going to have stuns and try to use this passive to increase that other character's damage, basically using her as 4 character, you're not gonna get much out of it, except some very specific scenarios. But that's she gets so much damage from it because she has such a great synergy with it, because Entangling Poison Ivy dot damage is going to be based on the damage that she does on her tap attacks. Now, her tap attacks are going to be her basic attacks, her hits. Her hits are going to basically dictate how much dot damage she's going to get. So first of all, you're going to get a 300% increase. I mean, it's not really 300%, it's calculated weirdly, but you're going to get an increase from this on your base hits. Those are going to in turn increase the dot value. And then the dot value is going to get further increased yet again by this passive applied the second time. And then if you put a Raven or Tana, this circle jerk double buff applies again and again and again. That's why she's so amazing, because of the way her kit works and the way the dots damage is applied. I don't know why I said the way 2 times. I kind of had something in my mind, but it got scrambled in between. But yeah, she's absolutely amazing, though. Getting her gears is a pain in the ass. If you don't get them from the arena store when they once every 3 years or something put them in Valentine's Day, you gotta buy the League of Anarchy gear chest, which comes around once a year, or pay them with real money. She can be a pain in the ass to get, I know, but she's amazing. As promised, before we get to number 1, some budget damage dealers. Just like Flash can deal a decent amount of damage for you if you, of course, pair him with Just like Cyborg, giving him more damage on basic attack hits. Put Dark Metal cards on him, keep him tagged in, Camo interrupt, and you're gonna see some reasonable amounts of damage, honestly. So Banshee, a very easy team to set up because she's got the challenge. You're gonna get both her teammates, that being Reverse Flash and Power Girl, from the League store. So you have everything you need to use her handed on a plate to you. And she's gonna deal yet again a reasonable amount of damage. The gameplay is gonna be a bit hard to get used to, and some people just straight up hate playing Sir Banshee. And okay, my dude, you do you, but honestly I don't understand that because I find her one of the most enjoyable characters in the game to play as far as gameplay goes. But there are mixed opinions in this regard, but the damage is something that's gonna be there. Not enough to put her in the top 6, but definitely gonna be there. And the last budget damage that I'm going to mention is gonna be Collector vs Superman. By himself, he sucks ass. Like, he's bad. But you have a Brainiac in there, and if you don't have Manta yet, or Mr. Freeze, you're going to pair him up with Brainiac, and you're gonna get some reasonable amounts of damage again, comparable to Sir Banshee and Just League P. Actually, he's not the last budget damage that I'm gonna mention. I'm gonna have one more, actually. And yeah, Mr. Freeze is gonna be a budget damage dealer, though this sounds weird, because this is a premium budget damage dealer for the free-to-play side of things, at the very least, at a budget performance. This is a premium casted budget performance. You need to get Mr. Freeze, which you might randomly drop. You need to eventually get his gears, and you need to pair him up with Brainiac, and he's gonna deal a reasonable amount of damage with the Puppet of Tana now, because he's got a good synergy with that artifact. He can just spam the special too, and you're going to have an overall good time with him. And you can even get some decent damage out of him without gears, so you might want to give that a try. But don't go out of your way to get this man, because every single budget team that I have mentioned are relatively easy to get. This man can be easy to get if you randomly drop him, or very hard if you don't. So it's a situation where if you get it anyway, you might as well use him. If you don't use him. And by the way, another mention, since we're at Mr. Freeze anyway, for the pay-to-win side of things. If you do have the Beta Club artifact, he is easily the #1 damage dealer in the game. Period. But a little bit higher star rating is required for that. Okay, let's move on to #1. Okay, hear me out, because I really want to end the video at the #1. We're going to do the mention for the pay-to-win side of things for #1 before that, and then I'm going to tell you the free-to-play #1. But the mention for the pay-to-win side of things #1 is going to actually be Grodd. You're going to replace your Beta Ninja Catwoman with Grodd, put Beta Club on him, pair him out with Brainiac and Robin. You're going to stack lethal attack damage with Brainiac, and then you're going to tag this man in and watch him deal a ton of damage. If you have high enough passive stats for that soul rate specifically, this man is going to easily deal 2 billion damage. By the way, almost forgot, if you're gonna use Raven as a damage dealer, as pay to win, with Beta Club, you pair her up with Brainiac, there you go, 2 billion damage, as simple as that. And obviously at #1, oh my god, Sigvald, such a controversial take, who would have expected this? Obviously it's Batman the Drones. Like, we all know this was gonna happen. Like, this character can outclass most of the characters in this list, can more or less get #3 or #4 at 3 stars with 1 gear. This is absolutely insane. And the higher you get in terms of star rating, the more gear pieces you acquire. And my Baton Drone only has 3 gear pieces, you're gonna do more damage. And my Baton Drone easily does 2 billion damage currently. It's basically the as close as free-to-play players will get to having Beta Club. So yeah, this is the list. Thanks so much for watching. Like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.